Now, Phil is definitely one of the more better characters of The Promised Neverland. A lot of people like him. He's not really touched upon a lot, so that's why a lot of people are interested, because we don't really know that much, or we don't get a lot of Phil in the manga, really, after the whole breakout. And, well, to talk about what I'm going to talk about, well, these theories, you actually need to be at least to chapter 100, so if you haven't gone that far, I wouldn't continue watching, or this is going to have some pretty major spoilers, really. So, well, if you're watching, then I'm guessing you have. So, also one more thing before I do begin, I just want to thank my friend at Marigold Jean, or Jean, at Twitter. You know, they helped me out making this theory. They gave me a lot of points. You know, most of the beginning and the foundation for this was based off what they said about what the mental breakdown that Phil has is all their idea. So do check them out. Their will be in the description, so you can check them out there. So basically, let me just open this page up. To actually begin the theory, we actually need to talk about like Phil. You know, why I suspect him of, well, what I'm going to suspect, like what I'm going to talk about. To talk about that, I need to talk about Phil himself. You know, at the very beginning, when I think it was chapter 8, exactly, actually, chapter 11, chapter 11, there was a suspected traitor, and we know the traitor was Ray. Now we know it was Ray. But, like, Ray he said that it could be Phil, and I know he didn't mean it because he knew he was the traitor, but he brought up a good point. He said Phil always asked where Emma and Norman were. Phil and Shelley, they always, you know, asked where they were or were trying to find them. And it's interesting because, well, it's true, even if Phil wasn't the traitor at the time, Phil, he always asked where they were. He was curious, he wanted to know, and it was pretty convincing. You know, a lot of people at the time, because I've been reading since chapter 1, a lot of people thought Phil might be the traitor. So, I guess that's something I just want to bring up. So at the very beginning, since chapter 11, like, Phil has always been a suspect, even though it was, you know, when you figured out it was Ray at the end of chapter 11, or I think it's beginning of chapter 12, still, it's an important point to bring up. The second point is that Phil is always, you know, he says it himself at the end of the arc when Emma leaves, but he says he did notice the entire time with Corone, you know, messing, like, going through everyone's stuff, with everything happening, he said he suspected something, and when Emma told him about the demons, he wasn't shocked. He was saddened that everyone died, but he wasn't shocked. He already figured it out, which is, you know, very, very important. And if you want to, like, gauge around what time he found out, when Emma told Don and Gilda about all the demons, their grades start to go up in the test. What's funny is that at the same time when theirs went up, because they found out, Phil's grade also went up. And I think this is important because it kind of showcases at what time Phil himself found out. Because when Don and Gilda found out, their IQ went up, and so did Phil's at the same time, and he didn't know. So I'm guessing around then he figured out something was up. Now, the last point I'm going to bring up is when Corone was, you know, shuffling around. She's trying to find out, expose Emma, basically. He goes and asks her, you know, what are you doing? And then right after this, he goes to Ray, Emma. He clearly, he's very self-aware. He's very smart. He reminds me a lot of Ray as well. He really does. He's, you know, for his age, he's just incredibly smart. So after Emma told him, like I said before, he wasn't that surprised. Sorry. He suspected the whole thing, and he was put in charge of the orphanage. And after this point, one more thing, he also distracts, the mother when they're trying to escape, which is very good of him. He brings all the kids there, and he makes sure that she can't chase Ray, Emma, and everyone else. He's very, you know, potential is what I'm trying to say, and this is important for my actual theory. You see, at chapter 100, we have half the chapters for Phil, and we have Phil just, you know, becoming depressed. He's sad. He's thinking about everything that's happened, about, I think it was Simon. He went to meet his death, and he just couldn't bear. This is in his new plantation, and when he saw the people actually being taken to die, he kind of has a mental breakdown. And this is where my friend helped me out here. My friend at Twitter helped me out at this point. See, Phil in the chapter has a mental breakdown because he knows where his friends are gonna go die. They're not actually going away on a trip to a new family. They're gonna go die, and he knows this, and he has a mental breakdown. And the mother of the new plantation realizes this, and she brings in, I don't remember his name, but it was the Andrew. Yeah, it was Andrew. Sorry. If you don't know who he is, he's in the thumbnail. He's the guy who, well, this is spoilers for even ahead of the manga, but he's the guy who finds the kids and where they are and tries to kill them. Andrew is the assassin, the military guy with the glasses. And when he finds it, he tells Phil, I want to have a word with you. And, from that point on, Phil looks shocked. Phil looks shook. He really does look terrified. And from that point on, we haven't seen Phil since. But he is mentioned, before Andrew dies, he says to Emma, remember Phil? I also had a talk to Phil about everything. So clearly Andrew knows that Phil knows about the demons. And, with Phil being so smart, I don't think they killed him. I think there are a lot of possibilities of what happened, so I'm going to go over them. So this is where basically my actual theories come in. The first one is that this is one of the things that I think, is that he may have been treated like Norman, how Norman had his own testing grounds. Maybe, I guess, because he's clearly, just intelligent. Maybe they want to create more of him, more high quality, like Phil. This would give the possibility of Phil escaping in this area, for the future. That means he could appear in the future. It gives him a lot of possibilities, especially considering what's happened with Norman. I mean, in the very latest chapter, I'm not going to spoil this, but what we've seen of Norman, this could happen to Phil. This could be how he gets out. And if this theory happens, fine, that's all cool. I wouldn't be too angry at that. It's probably what is going to happen. Now, my other theory is that once he had his mental breakdown, they kind of broke him down. And this is what my friend partially said. He said that once they break Phil down, they kind of torture him. And he just goes through a complete mental breakdown once they get the information out of him. And what I think here is that maybe he becomes one of them, kind of like a double agent. So once they've tortured him and they've made him an agent of the demons, he's going to act like he's a child or an escapee, sorry. And once he does escape and he meets Emma, he's actually going to be a double agent for the demons, and he's going to be the antagonist of the arc. Do you know what I mean? He's going to be a double agent. So they're going to make him a double agent when they're going to get him to escape, meet with Emma, and that way they're going to find Minerva and Emma and everyone like that. That is what I think is going to happen, because that would be really, really cool. Someone smart as Phil, the highest test scores, has the potential to be as smart as Norman, Emma, and Ray, and he just ends up, being a double agent. That would be pretty cool. An antagonist who is, one of the escapees of Gracefield. That does sound pretty cool. Now, the third theory is that, Phil, he never breaks. Andrew has a talk with him, but he never breaks. Maybe Andrew is bluffing to Emma, and he doesn't actually know what Phil knows. Maybe Phil is completely fine. But, if this is the case, what I think is Phil, straight up, he just loses it at his new home. He can't take it, he breaks down mentally, and he kind of becomes a villain, kind of, is what I'm thinking. It's similar to the second one, but this one, it's more on his own accord. It's more like, in his mind, he just breaks down, he becomes, a villain, really. I don't really know how to explain this. He just, he's not with the demons, he's not with the children of Gracefield or Minerva. He's just kind of in between, he just kind of loses it. And I would be interested to see what his character would be like if this route is taken, because I really, as you can see, I really don't know how to describe it. I mean, it could go any way if this happens. If he just breaks down mentally, no one finds out, he's just there, the entire time watching the kids die? I mean, who knows how he's going to turn out? I think that's the most interesting one, because you can't really foresee how he's going to turn out in this last option. But I guess that's all I have for this. This whole idea was inspired by Marigold Jean. You can check him out in the description, on his Twitter. And that's pretty much it. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe, and thank you.